Doctors, let's put down the stethoscope for today and let's talk money. In 2021, I moved to the UK to work as a doctor in the NHS. I came with just £2,000 at that time. Over the next year, I end up saving £10,000 by working in the most expensive cities in the world, London. And no, I did not do it locums, it was just with my salary. In this video, I'm going to give you the most granular details as to how I made the budget that basically allowed me to achieve that financial goal. You will notice that every single level, I make a conscious decision to cut some expenses, which end up saving me thousands of pounds by the end of the year. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Akib, I'm a doctor working in the NHS UK. Warren Buffett says, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Dave Ramsey, an American radio host, talks about finance. He says, saving must become a priority, not just a thought. Pay yourself first. Well, the question is, why is 10,000 such an important number? £10,000 is 1/10 of £100,000, which is a big financial goal. So achieving that 10,000 goals, it feels like a first step into financial freedom. And secondly, £10,000 gives you the I can do that factor. What does that mean? Let's say you've managed to hit that £10,000 and you've got your car breakdown. You need to buy a new car? I can do that. You want to take an expensive trip to an exotic location? I can do that. You want to go out there and eat at an expensive restaurant? I can do that. And for me, the biggest goal was to use that money to invest. I can do that. So my motivation was very simple. Build an emergency fund, start investing, building wealth. So let's dive deep down into it. So step one started with my pay. So the question I asked myself in the beginning was, how much will I be making per month after taxes? In my case, it was £3,200. I'd taken myself off the NHS pension for the first couple of months for some personal reasons. That equates to 38.4 thousand per year. Now that I knew my salary, I moved on to the step two, and that is budgeting and monthly expenses. The goal that I set for myself was knowing exactly how much cash is going where, and secondly, making pots for each individual category. I divided my expenses into two categories. I started off with the major expenses. These were the non-negotiables. This is what I need to pay every single month, and there's no flexibility in it. It has to go. So things like rent and council tax, utilities, food and groceries, and transport. Next, I made a minor expenses category. This was a bit more flexible. I can decide if I spend onto it, so it is in my control. So things like eating out and hobbies, personal expenses, and unforeseen emergencies. So let's get a little bit more granular and dive deep down into each category. So I started with my rent. I did the research at the time, and I noticed that the going rate for apartments at the time was anywhere between £1,100 on the lower end and £1,400 at the higher end. And my goal was to make sure that I had a place which was not too far from the hospital that I was working, so that I can actually save on commute. I think the third biggest decision was whether I should go for a furnished or unfurnished house. So I looked at some of the options that I had. I looked at furnished and unfurnished. And being in London, being such an expensive city, furnished houses were the most expensive. So on the furnished houses, a minimum amount that I had to dish out was £1,400, whereas the unfurnished, I was able to get something around the £1,100 range. How about let's do the math? So furnished, if it's £1,400 and I'm going to pay that for a year, that's going to cost me £16,800 a year. Now, let's look at the unfurnished houses. £1,100 on the lower end for a year, that's costing me £13,200 a year. And if I had to spend, say, around £1,000 and furnish the house, that cost me £14,200. £16,800 minus £14,200, we're actually saving £2,600 a year. At the end, I was able to get a house for rent at £1,100, and my council tax was £150. So overall, my rent and council tax came to £1,250. Next, we look at utilities. When I moved to the UK, it was post-pandemic, and there were no deals happening for any of the utility companies. So you basically had to just go and stick with whatever you had. So I had absolutely no leeway over here to save any money. Given the fact that my house was small, that really helped because it kept the costs to a minimum. The only thing where I did was I shopped around for the best internet deals, and from Virgin Media, I've got a really super fast internet deal for around £30 a month. My monthly bill was around £150 per month for all of those. So then we've got utilities covered for £150 a month. Next, we look at food and groceries. My focus was on three things when I was thinking about food and groceries. One, you need to have good, healthy food. Two, reasonable pricing. And three, perks for shopping. So discounts and things like that. To be honest, this took a bit of a trial and error because obviously I was new to the UK. I did not know what was I spending on or how am I going to be spending. So I started experimenting with going to different supermarkets every single month. And I noticed that on average, Marks and Spencer, I would end up spending £300 a month. I tried Sainsbury, which was then coming to £200 a month. And I was like, okay, that's great. I'm saving £100. But I think the best deal that I finally got was at Asda. I think it was through a blue light discount where I noticed about Asda was giving 10% off on groceries, which was amazing. So I stuck to Asda and I still shop from there till date. That really brought my grocery bill down to £130 per month, plus blue light discounts on top of them. And this was absolutely fabulous. So let's do the math. Marks & Spencer at the higher end was costing me £300 into 12. That would cost me £3,600 a year. Asda now would cost me £130 for 12, which is £1,560 a year. And if you look at the total savings from groceries that I managed to do was £2,040. So £2,040 a year that I will end up saving, which will go into the fund of building that 10,000 pot. Next, we look at the transport cost. Yes, I went and bought my first car from the get-go, and it was a Mercedes. As you can see, that was my car and that's myself when I bought the car. I was super proud. Now, you must be thinking, we're talking about saving money in this video, and buying a Mercedes, what sense does it make? Hold on a minute and I will explain it to you. My reasoning was both financial and emotional at the same time. Having a car will push me to drive. It will give me confidence. And by the time I have to start preparing for my driving license, I will have the experience, which means I do not need much lessons, which means I'll actually end up saving money from driving classes. Number 2, groceries. Asda was 25 minutes away from my house. And because I had a car, that's why I was able to drive all the way down to Asda and buy the groceries. This ended up saving me money in the long run anyways. And pay less on public transport. London is expensive for public transport. And the more I started paying for public transport, the more I realized how much money I was spending. And not just that, on the cold winter nights, it would be more comfortable driving in my warm car than standing out in a bus to get to the hospital. Fun! Obviously, driving a car in this country is fun. Mercedes is a super fun car, and that was one of the reasons I actually bought it. The biggest thing was, it really allowed me to integrate and be part of this country. I was literally able to travel anywhere in the UK because I had that car and there was no restrictions. So let's do the math. So the car cost me £5,000 with insurance. Now hold on a minute. You must be saying, you only had £2,000 when you came into this country, and now I see you spending £1,000 for furniture, you're spending £5,000. Where did the money come from? Because it was all a planned decision. I knew that I'm going to be saving money in the long term. I managed to get a loan from a family member. I mean, I was grateful that he gave it to me. Over the next year, I ended up paying him monthly, which actually saved me money anyways. So that's how I managed to get these bulk amounts for these big purchases like the furniture, like the car. So the car cost me £5,000 with insurance. The £5,000 divided for a year, it comes down to £420 per month, and fuel cost me around £100 per month. So transport was covered for £520 per month. Now we look at the minor expenses. Important, but can be flexible. I'm a very simple person. I live by very simple rules. Live frugally now so that I can build that savings. And number 2, enjoy a little bit. I had something called fun money. So this fun money meant I could use it for anything fun. So whether it's eating out, leisure, hobbies. And I set aside £150 per month into a pot, which was just for whatever that I wanted to do. Not just that, I also had a second rule that if I did not end up spending £150 that month, I will let it accumulate and add another £150 so I can have a bigger pot, so I can have more fun. So this allowed me to really live and enjoy a little bit, and also having fun made sure that I was not burning out. Another category in the minor expenses was personal spending. So this would be things like grooming, toiletries, I might need some clothes, shaving. So I kept £100 a month for that. Coming back to minor expenses, we had the fun money, which was £150 a month. My personal expenses was £100 a month. And I kept something else called unforeseen emergencies. So that was £50 a month. So let's go back and do the math. So we've got the major expenses, got rent and council tax, 1,250, utilities 150, food and groceries 130, transport 520, fun money 150, personal 100, and emergency 50. So my monthly expenses came down to 2,350 per month. What are the final savings? My salary was 3,200 minus 2,350. So I was saving approximately £850 per month. And let's multiply that into 12 months, and then you've got the subtle drum roll that came down to £10,200. This is exactly how I was able to save this pot of money and actually build that emergency fund within my first year. Money management and finance is a skill that I think we really struggle as doctors. I appreciate that loads of people who watch my video, you might have families, and it might not be as easy for you to save £10,000, but maybe you're saving £2,000, and by looking at your finances, you might be able to bring it up to maybe 3,000, 4,000, so that you can build your own emergency pot. And imagine this, what if you do this and you have a partner who works with you? What I mean by that is, let's say both you and your partner are doctors and you're conscious about your spending. You're not just saving £10,000 together, you're now saving £20,000 a year. Multiply that into 3 years, we're talking 60,000. You'll have more than enough money to actually put into a down payment for your house and actually start building wealth. So this is where it all starts, and I think this is such an important skill that anybody can learn, because once you've kind of got used to this, you really master the art of savings, and then next would be starting to invest into bigger things. A quick question to all you guys watching my video. Let me know one thing that you think that you would change in how you would do your daily finances. So the question is, do I still do my finances this way? As I have grown as a person, I have changed my saving strategies as well. And all of us who are medics, we understand that, time is precious. We most of the time don't have the time to look at our finances. So I have developed a system which I call my secret sauce. This has made me a lot more efficient with my finances. I have made it on autopilot mode, so where I know where my money is going without even thinking about it. And it's making me reach my financial goals while I work a busy job. And I think that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about in my next video. So if you're interested in making your finances in an autopilot mode where everything is kind of set and forget, then I think that's a video you must look out for. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the likes button. It really helps the algorithm and get these videos to other people who actually would benefit from it. And also comment in the comment section below, because I genuinely love engaging with you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.